it's Samantha from Very Nice Vegan. Lovely to see you again today. I'm going to take you through some of the sort of smoothies and bits and bobs that we do here, personally for our kiddies and for us as well, to get us through the day. We don't always have time to sit down and make a big meal, and to be honest, this is probably better than that anyway, because you're getting mainly really good stuff in without any of the sugar and the excess carbs and everything else. So the one I'm going to show you actually today is my son's absolute favourite. So Noah, he's 10, he has cerebral palsy, and he needs a lot of energy to get him through the day, and this is what I give him in the morning. So what we're going to use is a banana. Now you can use half a banana or a whole banana, whatever you like. These are quite small, so I'm going to use a whole banana. I've got about a cup roughly of frozen fruits. Now this is a mixed berry, so we've got sort of large blackberries in there, the small red currants, raspberries, strawberries, you know, just a general mix. They're often cheaper to buy like that than if you're buying a whole bag of frozen strawberries. Plus the fact you've only got one bag in your freezer and not, you know, 4 different bags. So it's cheaper from that point of view as well. However, that's entirely up to you. I also tend to go for frozen as opposed to fresh. Firstly, it obviously keeps the smoothie nice and cold, which the kiddies like. I don't like things ice cold, I have to admit myself. Personally, I like things that are kind of warm or slightly chilled, but not really, really cold. I just find it, my system doesn't cope with it quite so well. And it's the same with drinking water actually. If you drink lots and lots of water, try not to drink it really cold. I'm not convinced it does your body any good. I think if you have kind of warm to slightly cooler water, that's much better for you, so it doesn't kind of shock your insides and things as it goes through. But whatever you do, just obviously make sure that you drink. As we all know, we're all supposed to drink that 8 cups a day. If you're having smoothies and stuff as well on top of that, you're going to be absolutely well hydrated. So we've got the bananas, the berries, and the other thing that I put in, which keeps his kind of energy going through the day, is oats. Now I've just got normal oats that you would use for breakfast, you know, breakfast oats. Again, you can buy the cheaper ones or the more expensive, it's entirely up to you. Some have added bits and bobs in, so check out the packaging, and also check it's vegan, because you'd be amazed how many cereals are not vegan. So look at it, research it, just be absolutely sure you're buying the right thing. So I've got about half a cup here of oats. And then the final ingredient is milk. Now obviously we don't use any dairy because we're all vegan, so the different choices that we have personally in our home are oat milk. We've got a couple of different oat milks actually, fussy children. We've also got almond milk, and we have coconut milk. Now coconut milk for this particular one I think goes really nicely with the banana and the fruit, and it's certainly my son's favourite, but you could just swap it out if you didn't like it. So I'll get some nice cold coconut milk. Which we have here. We're using the Alpro one today, but obviously any one that you want to use. This is also a professional version. It's the ones like the baristas and things use. It foams up quite nicely, it's quite thick. But if you like the rice ones, my son doesn't, unfortunately he doesn't like the wateriness of those. And he needs the extra calories, so it's not a problem with him. Then obviously again, just swap it out. You could just also use water if you didn't particularly want to use any of the nut milks or coconuts or whatever. Just swap it out for water, which is also quite a good thing if you're trying to cut down on the calories but still get some of the goodness in. So blenders, I get asked all the time, which is the best blender? Now, I think really it's all down to personal choice. I'm sorry not to give you a definitive answer. There is the top of the range Vitamix blenders, and I'm very lucky to be able to have one. I have been lusting after one for a very long time, and I have now upgraded, mainly because I saw it on one of the shopping channels, which is what I've said in my other videos. If you're looking for bigger pieces of equipment that are, you know, they're going to hit the bank balance a little bit, but they're worth the investment, have a look on some of the shopping channels, because they do demonstrations, they show you how to use them. A lot of them even offer a money back guarantee, so you can have it at home for a little while and use it. If it's not for you, you just send it back and you get your money back. At worst, you probably might have to pay return postage, but it is worth it for a very high priced item, because you don't want to buy something that actually turns out to not to be so great. The other version, of course, is something like the Ninjas. They're quite popular. I have one son that absolutely loves to use this. One of my other boys will only use this. This is quite simple, I suppose. It's already got the cup on it as well, so it's quite handy, and you can just screw on another lid if you're on the go, or you can chuck it in the fridge to use for later. It's, you know, kind of already in your glass. The only thing I don't like about these is the blaze. I guess there's no way really of getting around it if you're using this type of blender, but these blades, when you've got kiddies and they're wanting to make their own stuff, for me, it's not great. And obviously these have got blades in them, but they're right down the bottom. They're not likely to want to, you know, sort of mess around down inside the jug here. Whereas this is very exposed. So Again, it's up to you. If you're the one just making the smoothies, you might find it's not a problem, or your sauces or whatever you're making in your blender, which is the other thing to bear in mind when you buy a blender. Think about what you're going to use it for. A lot of blenders are fab on smoothies, but they are really hopeless on things like sauces. You know, grinding nuts, for example. I make a lot of nut sauces. I make a great cashew cheese sauce that we use on pasta dishes when I'm sort of doing a raw meal. You know, this has to handle quite a lot, so it's good for that. But if you're just doing the smoothies or, you know, other things that are quite simple, you can grind up oats in this. For example, if you need oat flour for something, for a recipe or whatever, these are fine. You know, and these are obviously sort of anywhere between 40 and sort of 80 quid depending on which model you go for. This isn't an expensive one. I think it's cost me about £40, and it lasts and it's great and it does the job. So it's, again, entirely up to you. Today I'm going to use the Vitamix for this particular one. I'll put this away, but in other videos we do use this because I want to show you both and how they compare. So, Vitamix. So in your jug, always when you're making smoothies, if you use things like super powders, superfood powders, or any type of grain, don't put them in the bottom. This blender's pretty good actually. Even if I did put them in the bottom, it probably, because it's such a high-speed blender and the way that it works in kind of pulling the liquids in, would probably be fine. But some of the cheaper ones, if you put all that in the bottom, it's just going to stick at the bottom of your blender, and then you're not getting the goodness and you're chucking all the good stuff out when you wash it up. So I would definitely put those things in last. So the first thing you're going to want to put in really is your liquid. So whatever your liquid you're using, you could use an apple juice if you wanted to. Again, be careful of your sugars in things like fruit juices. You could use a milk or a nut milk, and you could also use water. So I'm going to pop in, which works out probably about 200 mils. It's quite a big jug. This is a 2-litre jug of coconut milk. And in with that, I'm going to pop the banana. And again, more if you like more banana-y, less if you don't like it so much. You don't have to put the banana in at all if you don't want to, it's entirely up to you. Next I'm going to put my berries in, and again, lovely mixture of berries, and depending what berries you use will obviously affect the colour. And colour is something that's so important and such a joy in vegan food. That's one of the things I love about it, is the colours. They inspire you to cook again, you know, it looks amazing. How bland is a piece of meat with mashed potatoes and things on the side? You know, there is no colour in that, it isn't good for you. And as we all know, the more colour in a food, the more antioxidants, the more vitamins, and more minerals. So don't go for bland foods. We call them beige foods in this house. We do not have beige foods, so we very rarely use flour, and that's only because I can't let my kiddies get away with it sometimes, but I don't use it at all. We don't have bread, we don't use things like pasta, you know, all of those things are not good for you. There's nothing in there that you need, really. They are carbohydrate, you know, they're great if you want to put on a few pounds, but if you're trying to clear your system out, you're trying to eat clean, you've got to ditch all of that, I'm afraid. You've just got to do it, and do it slowly by all means. You know, maybe just have it a weekend. That's what I let the kiddies do. They don't have anything through the week. There's no bread, there's no pasta, anything like that. Don't have sandwiches. It's all salads, or it's wraps that we make in the dehydrator. There's lots of ways around it, and again, that's one of the bridges. It's another video really, but it's one of the bridges I know that new vegans struggle with. You know, what do you do? It isn't just a bowl of salad. There are some amazing meals out there that you can make, and they're all done and down on the table in 15 minutes. You haven't got to spend an hour. You haven't got to worry about whether the meat is cooked through. You know, there's no risk to you being poorly after you've eaten your food generally, as long as it's clean, good food, and it'll cook really fast. You know, but as I say, I'll go into that with another video. So for now, I'm going to pop these in. So about a cupful, they go in as well, and then on top of that, the oats. Okay, so half a cup of oats. Top on the blender, very important, unless you want to redecorate the walls. So this particular blender comes with a top, but it's got two different bits to it. So you've got kind of the bung on the top, which means you can take it out to add bits in if you would like. But it also comes with a plunger. I'm sure you've seen them, the long stick plungers, and I'll get it so you can see. So if, for example, you were doing a green one, and you had loads of greens in there, spinach and I don't know, whatever else you're chucking in, cucumber and stuff, you might need to just kind of bat it down. This has obviously got a ridge along the top here, so you can't poke it so far down that it hits the blades. Okay, so you can just take that out, pop this in, and push all your stuff down as you need to. So that's that done. Don't need it for this particular process. So I'm going to switch it on. These are quite noisy, I'm afraid. There's no way of getting around it. They're high-speed blenders, they are noisy. That said, I see a lot of people doing this, and they turn their blender up full whack for this. Now, if you've only got stuff that's this much, you don't need to have it on high speed, okay? You can maybe whack it up to a high speed at the end if you want to make sure it's really all nice and smooth. But for most of the mixing and blending you're going to do, you need it on a low speed, particularly if you're doing things like ice, because otherwise it's just going to ping all over the place. And the same with liquids, it's all going to splash up and around your jug. You don't really need to do that. See if you can keep your jug sort of quite clean. So I'm going to turn this on. It's quite, again, mesmerising watching these because of the way it pulls it in. It's a very clever design, these Vitamix. And it's not all about the power. It's one thing I have discovered. I had another blender that was actually more powerful than this, but it didn't work half as well because of the way that this actually pulls everything in to blend it up. Look at this colour. Brilliant. No beige foods in this house. Amazing, amazing colours. And again, if you're trying to get your kids into things like this, you need things that look good, and this looks amazing. Going to turn it up a little bit now. I might occasionally make a little bit too much so that I have to drink a little bit as well. But it's not being naughty really, because it's all really good stuff. So take the top off your blender, pour it into your glass. I mean, look at that colour. I mean, is that just not stunning? It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. Right, so I'm going to pour that in there, and then what I'm going to do is whack this up high as well. So the other thing I would say about a food, you know, lots of people have smoothies. They might only have smoothies. They might be on kind of a smoothie diet. I think it's quite nice to have a bit of texture, otherwise you get a bit bored, and it's good as well because obviously it's going to start all those juices going that are going to help your digestion as you eat things. So try not to blend things so that there's absolutely nothing left in it. It's fine to go a little bit smooth, but sometimes have it a little bit chunkier. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one up so you can see the difference. It'll be a bit noisy. Smoother, what I would suggest doing before you put all your other ingredients in your blender is that you put your oats in first. Nothing else in the blender, just put your oats in. Whiz that around on your blender for a bit so it gets more ground down, so it's smaller obviously, and then when you put your other bits and pieces in, you won't be sort of tasting little pieces of oats. So if you prefer it smoother, that's the way to do it. Grind your oats first, okay? Put this one in here, which is a lot smoother, as I'm sure you can see. And pour it out. Wow. Amazing, amazing. I mean, who would not want to drink that? It's just a beautiful colour. And if you've seen our other kind of green smoothies, let me grab one of those out. But this is a green juice that I did earlier this morning because I love my green juices. Look at those colours. You know, you just do an orange one or something next to it, or you, I don't know, watermelon or something, and the colours are just stunning. And this is what I do for my kiddies in the morning. I quite often add superfoods as well. You can, as an adult, you can put things like energy bomb in, which is equivalent to coffee, but it doesn't have the kind of withdrawal and after effects and the nastiness of the coffee, but it actually still gives you that boost like caffeine does. But you can also put in super greens, so you can put additional super green powders into this if you want, just to make sure you've got everything that you need for the day. And you know, sometimes it might not taste the best, but actually if you want to get that goodness in, make your body clean, clear out all those toxins, you're going to have to get used to this, I'm afraid. So even if it's once a day, fill a glass, chuck all your superfoods in and swallow it down. It's not going to be the best mixture, but you know that you've had everything. And everything else on top of that as well is just a bonus. It isn't a substitute. Do not just use super powders. Make sure you're using other things as well, because you need to make sure you're enjoying your cooking and your vegan life. Okay, but that's just one of our ones. It's a banana and mixed berry smoothie with our coconut milk. Give it a go at home. Let me know what you think. I bet your children will love it. And if you haven't got time for porridge in the morning, if you don't like to buy cereal, again, we don't use cereal. Cereals are bland, beige foods for us. I'm afraid I don't use them. I'm not saying they're bad for you, but I'm saying this is better. So in the mornings, all the kiddies will have a smoothie or a juice. That's all they have before they go off to school. And then they've got all their amazing lunches and things during the day as well. And then we have obviously a really good meal or something in the evening. It might be raw, it might be half raw, it might be a cooked vegan meal. Either way, it's obviously always vegan. But this is a great alternative if your kids do not want to eat breakfast in the morning. Okay? See you soon. Take care. Bye.